Welcome to the 18th week of pregnancy. You are in your 5th month of pregnancy. Is there something going on with you? You have back pain? Tell me. There's news about your baby. There's new stuff he's hearing out there and different ways he's reacting. There is also a food tip and a special tip for this week that if you want to know, stay with me, I'll tell you. Hello, I'm Monica Romero. I'm very happy to have you here with me. I am the creator of Pregnancy, week by week on YouTube Brazil, and renewing this content for you because the biggest news you find here in the Parents' Almanac. Did you know there's no escape now? At 18 weeks, do you know the sex of your baby? Or the sexing you did back there at 8 weeks? Or by the birth test you took there at 10 weeks, or by ultrasound actually at 16 weeks, you can tell. But some labs, to be sure, wait up to 18 weeks before they can tell you if it's a boy or a girl. What now? You can already know. You can make a revelation tea. You can tell everyone, and you can start thinking about the trousseau, the room, the color. Calm down. These tips will be there in the future because now I want to talk about you, about your body and this beautiful belly. You can already notice that your uterus is getting bigger and bigger, and it is getting higher and higher and can already be felt 2 centimeters below the navel. Even if you start pressing alone, you will see that she is hard in this part below the navel. She is firm. It is different from a belly. For example, when we are chubby, the pregnant belly, it is firm, it is more firmer, and you can already feel now touching it, how your belly is firm. It is big, it is increasing, of course. And unfortunately, that back pain gets more common by this week, and you may feel back pain. And you can feel back pain because you're not exercising, because of posture, because of the hormone relaxin, which makes all our soft parts of the body become even softer to accommodate the baby and help with childbirth. We end up having greater fragility, not only in our spine, but also in our hips. So all of this can interfere. So I'm going to ask you, so that you stay active, to do light walks of 30 to 40, 50 minutes a day. If you already practice physical activity, you can continue practicing. Just take some guidance if it is a high-risk pregnancy and ask the professional who accompanies you to also take special care of you at this time of pregnancy. Although the second quarter is still lighter than the third will get heavier. And another thing you can start right now is also water aerobics. It could have been done from the beginning, but it is an excellent exercise for pregnant women because it has no impact and has water at an excellent temperature. Because people taking an immersion bath when they are pregnant is not recommended because we leave the temperature of the water too high. So space or Hall's bathtubs is not recommended in pregnancy. However, the temperature we use for water aerobics is more or less around 20.28 degrees the water balls show. You can go, you can do it without fear. If you are not active, talk to your doctor before starting any activity to see if it is suitable for you. Okay? You may have noticed that your appetite is increasing. It's not. That little business of adding just a few calories a day, that's it. We already want to eat for 2, but don't worry, it's not released yet. You have probably gained between 4 and 6 kilos so far, remembering that you have far below this average. It is always important to talk to your doctor, and this also depends on what weight you were before you became pregnant. How skinny were you below your ideal weight? Highest weight gain to date. And the chubbier you are before you get pregnant, the smaller you are. It's a number of kilos released for us to gain weight, because later, to be able to beat the scales is not easy either. Take a look at Monica's pointers here. However, you have to see if you are getting fat or bloated. Fluid retention is one of the problems we face during pregnancy, especially in hotter seasons, and you will feel it first in your hands. When you start to feel your rings squeezing your most swollen hand, your most swollen foot already means you're retaining fluid. At least 1 to 2 liters of fluid is already there. What do we do to mitigate this? Decreases salt intake, increases how much water we ingest. I'm not going to talk about liquids because soda doesn't count. Okay, we have to have healthy liquids. So it's water. It increases the amount of water we drink. I was drinking 2L. Let's go up a little. Let's try to reach 3L to bring you well-being and get rid of a little. Soon the nose starts to get swollen, the cheek. Could be fluid retention. And we thought it was calorie. And it's important to say that water doesn't just help reduce swelling, see? It also moisturizes our skin. It is important so that our skin is not hydrated. And we try to escape these stretch marks. Speaking of stretch marks, how's the moisturizer? Are you applying cute moisturizer? It has to pass mainly on the belly of the hips, on the back here behind the arms. It is also important to pass around the breasts, never. On the nipples, you can thin the skin too much and interfere with breastfeeding. Bony home, I can start preparing my breast for breastfeeding. It's not really necessary, okay? What hurts the woman's breast the most during breastfeeding is the baby's grip. So don't worry, I'll start teaching you now, right? Show you how we adjust the baby's handle so as not to hurt during breastfeeding. Breastfeeding is not instinctive neither for you nor for the puppy. Instinctive for him is sucking, it is pulling. But the position of the baby's mouth and how we will hold the breast to help our puppy, that's not instinctive, and I'm going to help you. I promise you. Just as there will also be a video of the birth here, right? In fact, video of the birth, stage of birth, when you go to the hospital, all this I will put for you in the links when you get closer to the week, agreed? But if you want to be curious, you already have everything here in Omalaka and an alert of a condition that increases a lot now from 18 weeks of pregnancy, which is postural hypotension. What does that mean? That when we get up too fast, we change our posture too fast. Our blood pressure can drop, and this can cause dizziness and even fainting. So please, when you get up, be more cautious. You have to get up, remembering our little grandmother. Get up slowly, get up. You are supporting. You have noticed that your vision is getting blurry. You are getting a little dizziness. You feel that, again, it is better to wait. It is better to be late than to have a fainting, is it? So be careful with postural hypertension, that now, especially after the 18th week of pregnancy, it becomes more pronounced in pregnant women. It doesn't mean that you will have them, but let's avoid the risk. And the first part we do is always get up slowly. And let's talk about this beautiful baby. Look at the size of this one. Baby, as he is already more and more like the newborn, his fatty tissue that started to form last week is already starting to make him a little plumper, will help accumulate enough fat in this baby to be full of folds. Although it is most of the time they are born slimmer, even that bunch of folds that get even difficult at bath time. Don't worry, she'll come, but it's usually after childbirth, okay? Your baby is between 12 and 14 centimeters tall and weighing more, or 160 grams. It's almost double what he weighed and measured 2 weeks ago. Remember I told you that in 2 weeks it would double? Look how big he is now. Remembering that they are always measured from head to butt. And it's not a rule, okay? Genetic environmental factors alter how big or small your baby can be. Often little moms can have big kids too, okay? When is your second or third pregnancy? Babies are usually about 10% larger than their previous size. Baby really grows up. This is because we say that our uterus has memory. So instead of the baby needing to stimulate the uterus to grow, he already has more space. As he already has more space, he ends up growing more, gaining more weight. And speaking of space, you're shrinking his space. Do you believe it? It's inside the amniotic fluid. He's already bigger than the placenta, and that means it's getting tighter and tighter for him. And do you remember the calcification of the bones that was starting there 2 weeks ago? Yes, this calcification has intensified too much. What this means is that your bones, which used to be softer like cartilage, are becoming stiff. And the more rigid, the stronger, the more you push, the more you feel it. If you're not feeling your baby yet, don't worry. Up to 20 weeks is when most women start to feel it. But I already assure you that if you have a little time of peace, quiet, I managed to stay with this belly up, comfortable. It's full of pillows like this. there on your sofa, eat a little chocolate, wait about 15 minutes. You will see that there is a baby stirring there. And you know what else he reacts to besides chocolate? Because he already feels not only blood sugar, but also taste. He already reacts more to sounds, that his little ears are even more mature. He can already react to sounds and recognize sounds. It is not that he already recognizes it, but he is beginning to recognize it, for example. If you have a dog at home, you will find that when your baby is born, he will not be startled by the noise of your dog barking. Why? Because he can hear it in his belly. It will also recognize your voice as soon as it comes out of your belly and you talk to it. It will recognize the voice of people nearby. So, if you're always close to your partner or your mother-in-law, these are voices that your baby will start to recognize. Of course, he doesn't hear as clearly as we do because he's immersed in amniotic fluid, but he can already recognize the tones and he's already hearing the blood flowing there in the umbilical cord. He's already hearing your heart beating, and all those tones are soothing and super familiar, and he's gonna start getting scared soon. When there is a horn, a loud noise, a dog that is not his barking, he can get a scare, give a purro in the tummy, normal happen, as well as hiccups. Different from the scare, which is really a reaction that the child has to a noise that he was not expecting. The hiccup is already him maturing. His respiratory system is not uncomfortable for him, it's not bad for him. But as the space in his belly is starting to shrink, he no longer has that whole pool of amniotic fluid to swim in. He swims a little bit already. Now when he feels a worm, he can vibrate his belly. So if you feel your belly jumping, it's your baby sobbing. Your baby's little heart keeps beating about twice as fast as yours, except when you do an ultrasound to see your baby's heart is racing, right? Our heart beats theirs, and their little heart continues to circulate about 24 liters of blood a day. Remembering, okay, what's going to filter this blood of your little baby is not his liver yet. His liver is there working to produce red blood cells. This filter is made through your body, so it's going to send all this blood that's ever circulated in it back to you through the umbilical cord, and then you're going to have a vein. It's 2 arteries that send it back, okay? And then you will have a vein that you will send to him, clean blood full of nutrients and oxygen to nourish your puppy. Let's give me the food tip. This week's food tip I'm going to make very simple but important, okay? I've been talking to you for a few weeks now about bone calcification. And so that you can have calcium, your baby won't lack it, okay? He takes it out of your system and sends it to your baby. But for you too, to avoid osteoporosis, what you need to do is have a good intake of foods rich in calcium. But your body can't absorb calcium if you don't have vitamins. How do we get vitamins? We can get them by sunbathing at those good times of the sun, early in the morning, between 8 and 10 in the morning, or after 4 in the afternoon. So run away from the bad sun. And if you live in cities like Sao Paulo, for example, where there is a lot of pollution, even this sun is of no use. You're gonna have to supplement, okay? Then don't forget. Vitamin D is needed to absorb calcium and foods rich in calcium. And we find it mainly in milks and derivatives. And for my tip of the week, I'm going to give you 2 tips this week, okay? The first, as I told you that you should already be figuring out the sex of the baby, I want you to think a little bit about whether you're going to need to paint the baby's room, and if you're going to paint the baby's room, that you look for paints that are child-proof, which are the washable paints. There are some special ones that we can paint that come out super easy, but they can be more expensive. But there are other paints that are not so expensive and that we can wash off more easily. Generally, the matte ones are the most difficult for us to get the stains out. And the stains come from a pen that he found. It comes from an eraser that he kept rubbing. It comes from a little hand dirty with food that passed by. In other words, no matter how much we spend in the room, the whole house will be full of little hands, and mine still has little hands to this day. And look, my children are already big. See, he has a dirty hand. He goes upstairs, something, puts his hand on the wall. There is a marked hand. We will go through this for many, many years. And my second tip is that you start investigating within your city, near the region where you live, the maternity hospitals, which are the maternity hospitals or hospitals that have this obstetric service that has obstetric care. that you would like to have your child, no matter how much we have service in the SUS or through an agreement or private, it is important for us to have a list of places where we can be served, whether for an emergency or even planning. These hospitals and maternity hospitals, many of them schedule a visit for you to get to know the place and feel more at ease. And in these visits that you will take advantage of to be able to answer your questions about childbirth, normal birth, cesarean section. What do I want? These questions are not so easy to answer, but you can already start dreaming about them. So put on a piece of paper everything you would like for a birth. What do you dream about for a birth? What are you afraid of childbirth? What are your doubts about childbirth? Calm down. I will help you clarify several questions about this. I'll leave some links here for you, okay? About childbirth, about cesarean section, normal birth, birth planning. There is a birth plan that you can fill out, and I will leave it here in the description for you to download a PDF of the birth plan that I prepared, which helps you understand what are your possibilities. Okay? Within the birth plan, I will leave a complete video about him. Okay? Because he's a little questionable even by some doctors, because when he signs 11 birth plan with you, and if he has an emergency, for example, he has to do something different. Theoretically, you could sue him because he signed that he wouldn't. But it's more important for you to have a healthy baby than sometimes, for example, to try a birth that's super traumatizing for you. For your baby then, it's important the birth plan as a guide, and he as a guide. He's fabulous. Professionals will also understand what you want, what you dream, how you want it to be, so that he tries his best to be able to fulfill your dreams. All right? So I'll leave all this in the descriptive for you, but in the meantime, start researching. You can research either on the internet or by talking to your friends who have had children to understand what experiences they had, what they liked, what they didn't like, what they would do differently. All this information will now be very enriching for a planning that we will do in a little while. After all, in 2 weeks, we will reach the half of the pregnancy. Not long. We need to plan in advance so we don't have to rush at the end, right? I really hope you enjoyed these tips. Congratulations on this in the 8th week of pregnancy. My God, that's a lot of numbers. Don't you forget to leave a like for me. See you in the next video.